What is going on, everybody? Welcome to my 1 month MIA kind of update video. I'm going to talk about what I've done this month and kind of what I plan on doing. I'm not sure how long this video is going to be, but hopefully it won't be too bad. I'm going to try to look up because when I look at my computer, you see the reflection of my glasses, and I just think it looks weird. So sometimes I might be looking down like this, but it's because I'm reading what I'm doing. Just a brief introduction. So this is the third attempt at MIA. This is the first time I have made it past 1 day, and so in that regards, it's going well. I do want to put out a disclaimer. I've mentioned this in past videos, but I want to mention this in probably all of my videos, and just a little brief thing. I've been studying Japanese off and on for 10 years, so if it seems like my progress is good, I'm not a beginner, so don't compare yourself to me. And some people might think my progress sucks. So, but just saying, like, I have tons of experience with the language. I just can't really speak it well, and I can't really do anything with it, and I know very limited amounts. So, I picked up MIA because I wanted to learn the language the way it's spoken, not the way a textbook claims people speak. I don't want to pass tests. Not that there's anything wrong with tests, but I want to speak and interact and watch native content. So I know that I've been called out on my inability to kind of stay to a general idea, and that I'm kind of all over the place. So I have a couple of notes jotted down here. That way, hopefully, I can stay on kind of a little bit of track. As you can see, note 1 is brief history. So basically, today starts month 2, and so we're gonna get into this. So I'm going to start with, since the name of the program is MASH Immersion Approach, I'm going to start with my immersion time. And this month I immersed for 41 hours and 38 minutes. I did not start tracking that until day 4. So the first 3 days are untracked. And so whatever the time period on that is. Now, for a brief period during the middle of the month, I was tracking my passive immersion as well, but I kind of find that that's arbitrary. Like my passive immersion, just for the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. For the 14 days that I tracked it was 62 hours. But again, I find that is kind of an arbitrary number because that doesn't really show the value in terms of how much I actually paid attention, because some days if I listened to it for 8 hours, maybe I only heard it for 50, like maybe there was only actually a 15-minute break where I listened to it, and so I don't really find that that's an important statistic. Like I like having it on all the time, and I still listen to Japanese pretty regularly, like just throughout my daily life, but I don't count that in terms of even passive immersion. I'm not worried about that number because my main focus is active immersion. And I'll get to goals later in this video, so I don't want to split that up right now. But yeah, so 41 hours and 38 minutes. I'm really satisfied with that, especially with missing the first couple of days. My goal was obviously a little over an hour. I wanted to hit at least an hour bare minimum a day, and I surpassed that. So I'm pretty satisfied with that. I do have a little bit better of an idea as to what I want to do this coming month, but again, that'll come in the goals section. What counted as immersion this time was basically if I was watching and listening to a TV show. That's what I counted. I have not started reading yet. Again, we'll get into that in the goals. That's coming this coming month, but that is what it is. Now, when I immerse actively, from where reading was not something I focused on this month, it was just pure native content, the way that natives watch it. So I did not have subtitles or anything like that. I just watched the videos and kind of went from there. It was kind of a struggle to get used to at first, but I adapted pretty quickly because I just found some content that I really enjoyed. So far, I have watched Erased. I'm about through Death Note. I watched Attack on Titan because I had several people kind of call me out for not remembering the name on that. But that seems like a really cool show. And then I have watched some Terrace House, and I have more than not actually. My main form of immersion comes from YouTube. I created the second YouTube channel, like Matt mentions on his channel. I followed his guide to do it. So I have a YouTube channel. My location is set to Japan. And I went to the trending section, watched the first video in Japanese, so it thinks I'm in Japan, so the only thing that's recommended is Japanese. And there's a couple of channels that I watch on there specifically. There's a girl named Asuka who plays Mario Maker. I think I mentioned this in a previous video, not to be confused with the wrestler Asuka in WWE, but it's a girl who plays Mario Maker, and I presume some other stuff. Mario Maker is the only stuff I've seen as of late. And so those are cool little 10 or 11 minute segments that I really, really like. And then I also watch, there's a channel called Kiniku channel, which is just like a health and fitness channel. Obviously, I'm not the epitome of health and fitness, but just for some different vocabulary besides, Nagaru and Hayaru, which is like throw and enter, like pipes and P-switches and stuff like that in Mario. So just a little bit of content like that. And then I watch a channel called Masuo Games. He plays Animal Crossing and he plays Resident Evil, and so I'll watch some of that stuff. And I've picked up a lot of vocabulary from these gamers because of the way that they introduce the videos, right? Like the girl, she'll always say like "yatekimashou," so like let's go, and then like the guy will always say whatever kankai, which is like today or currently or like this episode or what's happening now, like that kind of thing, like within context, obviously. And so it's helped me pick up a lot of that stuff, a lot of reoccurring vocabulary within those games. Let's see, anything else? And I watch another channel called Jackpot. I think Jackpot. There's like 2 or 3 channels surrounded by the same people that do some stuff. I have no clue why I enjoy it, but I do. Couldn't tell you why, but I do. And that's part of what is making the immersion thing work this time, is because I'm watching stuff that I enjoy. So, let's see, passive, what I used. So the other thing with immersion is that coming in, I thought my listening to Japanese was solid. That doesn't mean that I understood what they said. That just means that I thought that my ability to hear where a word started and stopped was pretty solid. After 40 plus hours of immersion, I can tell you that I was nowhere near as decent at hearing it as I thought, and I'm sure that even now I'm still nowhere near as decent as I think. But my listening has increased, or made just tons and tons of progress, and I know that that's going to continue. Obviously, if you listen to it more, you're going to be better listening, and that is huge right now. The big thing for me that's come from this listening is, and I actually had sent Matt a video. I sent Matt a message on Sunday, and I said, Matt, I said I had to put my phone down to stop writing vocabulary words down because so many words were starting to jump out at me, like because of hearing them so many times, and just kind of passively picking that up and your brain recognizing patterns. So my ability to hear words a lot more and stuff like that is, leaps and bounds better just in this first month, and that to me is huge. So I think that's about it for immersion. In terms of like what I've been watching, how much I watched, is there anything else that I would need to discuss there? I don't think so. Advancements in listening, how that's helped. Yeah, so reading, as I mentioned, I didn't really do any reading. That's coming this month, but that'll be in the goal section. I already mentioned that. So we're going to go into Anki now. And so here's the thing. I started to remembering the kanji, remembering the kanji. And it was going pretty solid. I made it through about 530 cards, and then I just kind of hit a wall where everything that I was looking at, I could not make heads or tails of. It didn't matter how many times I tried to review it, I couldn't remember. If it was the only card, if I had one card in the deck and I was only reviewing that card, I could not remember it. I could literally see it, see the word, click fail, have it pop right back up, and not remember the word. Like there was just something happening. And so I sent Matt a message on Facebook, and I said, hey, Matt, what is going on? I'm having trouble with this kanji. And he was like, hey, we just released a new deck for recognition remembering kanji. So, here it is. Check it out. And so I downloaded that deck, and after looking at it for just a few minutes, I thought, you know what? I'm going to delete this other one. And I know that is probably hard to hear for some people, being 500 and, almost over halfway done with Remember the Kanji, but I deleted that deck, and part of the reason is because when I started that deck, I was already familiar with about 300 kanji, 200 kanji, and so I was doing like 30 plus cards a day. But the reviews got to the point to where they were so crazy. I actually backed that down to like 5 cards a day, but it was still too much for me to keep up with. And from there, I think it just became a little overwhelming. And then again, once I got stuck with so many cards that I didn't really know, it was just all kind of this just pressure on me. And so he sent me that, and I looked at a couple of the cards to see what I thought, and there's a lot more information on them. The new deck talks about primitives, what they are used in terms of when they're used in combination with other things, and that has helped a lot. Like, for example, the kanji for the number 7, if it is used in conjunction with something else, a lot of times it'll mean to cut or separate, and so that actually helped me to remember the kanji for separate. I was having a hard time remembering it, but seeing that listed as a primitive really, really helped me out. And having the primitive, and just kind of the way that it's a little bit further and better explained, that has honestly helped me a lot. Now, I'm not too far into it. I'm gonna do 15 cards a day of that for a while, which because I don't think it's gonna be too much, and which that's getting into goals. But I'm gonna do 15 cards a day, and that's what I've been doing 10 up to this point. And so I don't know how many I'm in. Let me see. I got Anki open here. Let me see how many cards I am, if I can tell. Well, I don't want to. I'm actually in the process of making flashcards right now, so I'm going to wait on that. But I've only been doing that one for a couple of days, so I'm probably less than 100 in for sure, even at 10 a day. So, but yeah, and that's like I said. I think that is. I think the way that deck is set up, it's just better for me in terms of learning, and it's going better so far. There's already characters introduced that weren't introduced in the original RTK that MI had. I had a Skype call with Matt today, and he said part of the reason that they did it, and the reason it took him so long to do was because he had, when he was putting in these characters as to what was important, he was trying to think, oh man, is this introduced earlier? So he'd have to go back and add stuff and all that stuff. And I find this new deck to be much better. I believe it's on the MIA website. If not, the MIA Twitter page tweeted it out not too long ago, and you can find it there. And I just overall highly recommend it. Some of the stuff that I was going to start earlier this month and did not. I was doing sentence cards, and that failed miserably because I don't have the vocabulary to do kind of this target one sentence stuff. A lot of the stuff that I was trying to do would be one known word, and the rest would be unknown words, which is the opposite of what I'm trying to do. And so that, after about a day or two, got to where I was getting a little defeated on it, and I was like, you know what, I don't really find that to be, this isn't helping right now. It's creating a negative kind of atmosphere, so I'm going to leave that alone. So I've not, even though I've learned probably about 20 words so far this month, I've not made any flashcards or anything for words. I wanted to get into the habit. As you know, if you're new to my channel, you don't know, but you can go look at the history of videos I made, and if you've watched this channel for a while, you fully understand. I have a very bad habit of not sticking with things, and so I wanted to make this as an easy transition as possible. I didn't want to stack too much stuff on me. I wanted to build a habit and then add a block. Build a habit, add a block, and so that's what I'm doing. So I stopped making the sentence cards, and I just started immersing, man. And I know that people are like, you can't learn if it's incomprehensible, but I've picked up a bunch of words, and I'm really satisfied with the way that that's happened for me to have not studied the language. I've learned more words this month than I have the past several months of whatever language it is you're talking about that I'm trying to learn. So I feel really good. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to look into it. Obviously, I know that I need to. I'm going to start pulling these words out and building my vocabulary, and then building into target one sentences and stuff like that. Like, that is the plan. But as of right now, for me having a month under my belt, and I've picked up several words, 20 plus words just via context, I don't know. I'm pretty cool with that. That doesn't mean that I can repeat them or have them in memory, but my focus right now is being able to recognize it, to be able to hear it and internalize it, and we'll go from there. So that's immersion. That is Anki. I think that is all just for the month. It was just a pretty standard month, man. Just watching TV. I tried to do it as much as possible, but the part what I like about MIA versus like AJAT or anything in terms of the fundamentals are that I don't have to sacrifice whatever, right? Like MIA I can make work for me. So I work 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. I usually get home around 5:30, sometimes 6, depending on if I stay at work late. I have a wife and a son. My son we put to bed at 7:30. So after 7:30 is when me and my wife spend time together. We'll watch TV or whatever. She'll usually go to bed around 9:30 or 10. So then from 10 to whenever I go to bed is my immersion time. And obviously I could benefit from immersing 4 or 5 hours a day, but I can also see tangible results in just the hour to 2 hours, depending on the day, that I'm watching. And that's what I like about this. So that is it. If you have any questions about that, I'm going to get into my goals, but if you have any questions about that, let me know, and I'll do like a whole like Q&A video about any questions that you have. That's perfectly fine. My goals for this coming month are I want to hit 45 hours of active immersion. I'm not going to set anything crazy. In the past, when I've set goals, I've always kind of squandered them. It's always been really terrible. And so I think that if I just kind of set a goal for staying on pace, I think that's perfectly doable. Technically 45 hours is more than what I did this month just because I didn't track the first 3 or 4 days. But I think that overall, 45 hours of active immersion, I'm happy with. This month, I am going to add reading. I made that video a few days ago about the manga that I got, which I should have a new batch coming in soon as well. So I'm going to start reading some of that. And also, just in talking to Matt today, I was talking about how reading subtitles on shows kind of distract me from the show. But since reading is an important part, I will probably start watching some of my immersion with subtitles on. That way I can kind of get used to it, because it is easier to pick out words when you're reading it. And I think as I get further into recognition RTK, I do believe that will be a little bit easier in terms of picking the words up and being able to recognize the kanji for the meanings of the words and stuff like that. So that's my plan. I do want to introduce reading, and I do want to read my manga and stuff, and even if I do 10 or 15 minutes a day of that, and then still to try to get over an hour of active immersion and kind of split the time between reading and then just pure, watching it with no subtitles. So that is the plan there. I am going to start just mining vocabulary, not sentences just yet, because I'm still not at a level of being comfortable and having enough vocabulary in order to make these target one sentences. So I'm just going to start getting vocabulary. And the way that I'm doing it, I don't really feel that I necessarily need the sentence. I know I need sentences, and I'm going to put examples on there, but I'm not doing specific sentence mining, because the way that I'm picking out the vocabulary is it's words that are jumping out to me, like words that, like, I can't explain it, and if you do MIA or any form, if you've ever done any form of learning, like you'll know what I'm talking about. But there are literally times when I'm sitting in front of the TV watching Japanese, and like something hits me so hard, I almost have to pause it and be like, I know that I've heard that word 100 times. Like, I don't know why I didn't know it until now, but I've heard that word a bunch. That's the vocabulary I am picking to use. And I think, because when I was originally trying to do it, I would set a timer basically, and every 5 minutes I would just be like, all right, cool, boom, this is a sentence we're on, and I would pick a word out and I would try to learn that. But that was extremely ineffective. As a matter of fact, the 20 plus words that I've looked up so far, I haven't really had to make. I know those words, so I haven't even had to make flashcards. But it's something I do want to do, just to have continual repetitive hearing it. If I'm hearing them that much and they're sticking out, they're probably pretty regular, frequently used words anyway. But just that added additional spaced repetition system of getting them stuck in my head, I'm perfectly satisfied with, and it's just something that I want to do. So that's it on that front, just word mining. 5 words a day is my goal, not anything crazy. I'm not shooting for 20 words a day or anything, and that is because I want to get through, remember, recognition RTK first. I want to do 15 words a day of that, or 15 cards a day of that, and then 5 vocabulary words, and then that way once I finish, because that should take me about a month and a half to finish recognition RTK, and then after I finish that, I can get into doing 10 words a day. I don't know if I would go past that. It obviously depends on how I feel, but as I become more accustomed to the language, it's easier to remember words. So that is my goals pretty much. Just add a little bit of reading and then add getting a little bit of cards. So, you know, I set the foundation in month 1. Month 2, we're adding a couple of bricks, see where we're at, and then, you know, we'll go to month 3 from there. But yeah, that is it. The only other thing that I'm doing, and this is the only reason I bring it up in this video is because Matt does this as well. That is, so today I decided, or actually I've been thinking about it for a few weeks, but I'm going to start doing a little bit of meditation, and simply because I never shut off, and I think that my brain could benefit from it. And I'm not doing anything. I actually picked up the Mind Illuminated, but I was talking to Matt about it, and he said that, like, if he could go back and tell himself stuff in the past, he would just tell him not to worry about that. And anyway, he gave me some tips, and just some very, like, basic tips just to get started. Because when you read a book like that, like, because there's even a lot of stuff that it's hit me with so far that's super overwhelming. And it's the whole idea of meditation is to let go of that stuff. But when you're trying to get into it, you start to think about all this stuff, which goes against the core principles of meditation in terms of kind of letting go. So I talked to Matt a little bit about it, and I did 10 minutes today. I was going to do 5, but I was like, I'm going to try 10 and just see what happens. And it was really, really cool. And obviously I don't have anything to say about it because I've done it for one day. But basically I'm plugged in all the time. I'm plugged in 24/7. I wake up, I go to work, I come home, wife and kids, immersion, and then I'm usually reading until I go to sleep. Like, I literally have my phone in my hands reading stuff, whether it be answering comments on YouTube, I get a ton of DMs and stuff on Twitter or Instagram, and like, I'm always wanting to interact with people. And so I'm doing that literally until the moment I fall asleep, and then wake up and do it again. My brain never has a break. And so I just want to get into that and just give my brain a little bit of a break. So maybe it's just like a little bit of a reset. So that's my idea. I don't have plans on being like a big meditation expert and going on retreats or anything. And I have nothing against people that do, but just like in terms of my daily life, I think that just having just a pure, like, kind of silence, just nice, just time to myself to kind of reflect for just 10 minutes or so, I think is something. So I can get more into that later. That's not really language related, but hopefully the effects of it can help me. So I think that is it. Like I said, let me know down below if you have any questions, if you have any input or anything like that. I would say, or whatever, and I will answer. I'll make a follow-up video to this, and that's perfectly fine. I think that the first month was a great success for me, especially being someone who can't stick to something. This is something that I've been able to stick with, and that makes me extremely happy. So I'm really, really looking forward to month 2. I'm going to continue my spreadsheet. I'm going to make a new sheet here, and I'm going to have just my monthly total, and then I'm going to have like a rolling accumulative total. I don't have any like year-end goals or anything, because that's when I start getting ahead of myself and end up failing, as I set a goal like I'm going to hit 3,000 hours this year or something crazy. So I'm just going to take it month by month, day by day, and just keep rolling it out, because right now I'm sticking with it, and that to me is the most important part. So with that, I am going to end the video here. I hope you all enjoyed this update. I will be I'm not going to do just an update every single month, like in terms of that's the only videos you're getting. I'm going to continuously update my progress throughout the month, probably a couple of videos, a week as I'm doing, and of course my interviews and stuff like that. But yeah, that is it. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next update video. So take it easy, and I will see you guys in the next video.